All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking all about yak farming. Now, I know it might sound a little out there, but trust me, picking the right breed of yak can be the difference between a farm that's thriving and one that's just struggling. So if you've ever been curious about sustainable, alternative livestock, you are in the right place.
So, are you thinking about farming a little differently? If you're looking for livestock that's not your typical cow or sheep, but has some serious potential, well, let me tell you, yaks are a pretty incredible answer. They're an ancient animal for sure, but they are also a perfect fit for modern, sustainable farming.
So what's the big deal with yaks anyway? Well, it really just comes down to these three things. First, they are unbelievably hardy. They are built for some of the toughest climates on the planet. Second, they're super versatile. You can get meat, milk, and fiber from them. And because of that, they can be a really profitable part of the right kind of farm. Okay, but here's the thing. Before you even think about picking out a yak, you've got to choose a direction for your farm. The number one question you have to ask yourself is, what do I actually want to produce? Because the best breed, it completely depends on what you're trying to do.
You've basically got four main roads you can go down here. Are you looking for a jack of all trades, an animal that does a little bit of everything? Or do you want to specialize, maybe in luxury fiber or rich dairy products or maybe high-quality lean meat? Keep that goal in your head as we start to look at the breeds that fit each of these paths.
All right, first up, let's look at the most common approach, finding that great all-purpose animal. This is where a lot of new yak farmers start out, and for a really good reason. It gives you flexibility and, more than one way to make an income.
First things first, we need to get a really important distinction out of the way. There are two main types of yak. You've got the wild yak, or Bos mutus. It's a bigger, tougher beast, but its wild temperament means it's just not cut out for farming. The one we're going to focus on is the domestic yak, Bos grunniens, which has been bred for centuries to be manageable and productive.
Think of the domestic yak as the Swiss Army knife of the livestock world. Seriously, it's the perfect starting point if you have a small or mid-sized farm, because it gives you a little of everything: meat, milk, and fiber. It lets you learn the ropes without having to go all in on one specialty right from the start.
But what if you don't want a jack of all trades? What if you want to be a specialist? Well, that's where these different breeds really shine. These animals have been fine-tuned over generations to be amazing at one particular thing, whether that's producing incredible wool, rich milk, or top-notch meat.
Okay, let's kick things off with fiber. Yak fiber is so warm and soft. We're talking stuff that gets compared to cashmere. That makes it a super high-value product, especially for those high-end textile markets.
So you've got two main players in the fiber game. The Tianzu white is really special because of its naturally white fur. That's a huge deal because the fiber doesn't have to be dyed, which makes it super desirable. Then you have the Qinghai, which is more of a 2-for-1 specialist. It's known for this amazing, dense undercoat, but also gives you some good, lean meat.
All right, moving on from fuzzy to creamy, let's talk about milk. Yak milk is incredibly rich, perfect for making high-fat products like amazing cheese and butter that can fetch a really nice price.
And when it comes to dairy, the undisputed champion is the Julong yak. What you really need to know is that its milk yield is just way higher than most other breeds. But here's the cool part. It's also well adapted to more moderate altitudes. That opens up the possibility of yak dairy farming in places that wouldn't normally work for other high-altitude yaks.
So what if you're thinking bigger? You need something that's a real workhorse, something tough for a commercial operation that's focused on both meat and fiber, especially in rough conditions.
For that, you've got two great tough options. The plateau yak is a bigger, more robust animal, which makes it a fantastic choice for commercial farms that need consistent production. The Cebu, on the other hand, is also tough, but has a much calmer temperament, and it's known for great fiber and milk. That makes it a perfect fit for smaller farms that are a little easier to manage. All right, let's get into some of the more advanced level stuff. Now, these aren't the kind of yaks you just go out and buy for your first herd, but they play a huge role in the wider world of yak agriculture, especially if you're into breeding programs.
Okay, so remember that wild yak we talked about at the beginning? You'd never keep a herd of them for milking, that's for sure. But their genetics? Oh, they're pure gold. Breeders use them in hybrid programs to bring that incredible natural toughness and size back into the domestic herds, basically making the whole stock stronger.
And then there's another really cool option, the hybrid, a yak-cattle cross. You're basically getting the best of both worlds, the hardiness of a yak with the higher productivity of cattle. The result is often an animal that gives you more meat and milk and is way easier to handle in milder climates. The only catch is that the fiber quality can be a bit of a mixed bag.
Whew, okay, so that was a lot of information, right? How do you actually pull it all together? Well, here's the bottom line. It all comes back to matching the right animal to your specific goal. Let's just put it all in one place.
So let's break it down one last time with this handy little cheat sheet. To recap, if you want versatility, a bit of everything, start with the standard domestic yak. For that luxury fiber, you're looking at the Tianju White or the Qinghai. All about dairy, the Geelong is your champion. Going big with a commercial farm, the Plateau is your workhorse. And if you want to boost productivity, you might want to look into a hybrid.
You know, there's a quote in the material we've been looking at that just hits the nail on the head. It says that choosing the right breed isn't just a small detail, it's what lets you perfectly tailor your farm to exactly what your market is asking for. It's the foundation of the whole thing.
So that really just leaves one last question. Whether you're dreaming of making artisanal yak cheese, spinning luxury yarn, or producing sustainable meat, there is absolutely a yak breed out there for you. The real question is, what kind of yak farmer are you going to be?
Want to raise healthy, profitable yaks without beginner mistakes? Get How to Raise Yaks by Gerard Dawn, your step-by-step guide to successful yak farming. Link below.